kindly took photos of us before the event. All the interstate people who Tess will touch upon, and just a special mention to Peter, because Peter managed to arrive even when I attempted to thwart him by telling him the wrong date and then by sending his invite to the wrong email address. Unfortunately, a week before, or a week or two ago, we realised the issue. I just fantasised his email address and sent it to that one. Strangely enough, the person opened it and RSVP, so you can imagine my confusion when Peter said he didn't get it and he was coming. Anyway, so a special thank you to everyone who travelled so far to be here. So,
I'll individually thank people who made it from far away, and then I'll switch back to Daniel. So we have some people who drove very far. These are Gnomes and Sam, who's just been in Brisbane and stopped in Sydney and made it yesterday or last night to be here. And Elsa and Ralph also made the same journey by car, stopping along the way. We have some others from Sydney who decided to fly, which is much more sensible, I think. Who was it? It was Alice, and we have Anna and Conrad. And I think that's it from Sydney. Is it? Tron and Lisa, who've already left. We have people from Tassie, Uncle Bob, Auntie Ruth. We have Steph from Christchurch. And Grace from Rwanda via Brisbane. And we have some, of course, Andreas, Nick and Bridget have all come for Christmas, and it was really nice that we could all converge on Melbourne at this time and get chilled together.
So if I could also thank my sister and my other sister now. My sister for schlepping around Melbourne doing all the little thankless tasks, and Zoe and Ben and their small family for a wonderful company, and of course the remarkable cake that has yet to be presented, but it is quite amazing. A special thanks to my parents also for their patience and support over the years, irrespective whether I be in the next room or 12,000 kilometres away in London. You've always supported me regardless of my decisions in life or more peculiar behaviour. What can I say? And of course my new in-laws. I remember clearly at my first dinner at their house, and I told them I was a vegetarian, and there were special dishes to cater for my fussy requirements, and they were in no way any inferior to they were so exceptional, and nothing has really changed ever since. And I knew that the food prepared had so much care and expertise, and obviously it appeals to me immensely. There's one way to my heart, and fortunately, we have a shared interest in there, and this hasn't abated for 8 years. But more seriously, Mark and Anne immediately welcomed me to the family with warmth and unnerving generosity, and that you've never failed to show anything but kindness. And I feel uniquely fortunate to have another family that I share not only interests and hobbies, but we share the same values as well, and that I think is quite special. So thank you very much. I feel now that we are one big family, I should briefly touch upon the concept of mishpucha. Literally, mishpucha is a Yiddish word meaning family. However, it is a far more elastic concept, encompassing what one may term tribal behaviour. Searching for examples of this word, I was informed it involves a fierce sense of loyalty, but other things, and I must stress this list is non-exhaustive, a forfeiture of privacy, a seemingly endless web of distant relatives who may or may not have blood ties, wholesale pricing, and potentially perjury and insider training. So it cuts both ways. You too can make a call to a relative to vouch for you where you were on a particular night. But on a serious note, if I could recap our relationship, it has been done so a few times. I met Tess in 2009 to 2010 in Berlin when I was an exchange student in the Netherlands, and she was travelling over the summer university break. We were the tender ages of 22 and 25. What most people don't actually know is that I actually met her a few years before at a party, and I always contain that it took her a few extra years before she was mature enough to entertain my refined and advances. We dated throughout uni and through our first jobs and so on, and we moved in together after a few years, and I quickly gained a sense of my own domestic shortcomings that strangely had not been corrected through several years of living in share houses with male companions. But I knew domestic bliss awaited, particularly when Tess started unpacking and setting up her hitherto secret teapot collection. From there we moved to Vietnam, where our attempts at Vietnamese showed the stark difference in our work ethic. Tess was often challenged at work, being in a completely new environment, engulfed in a new language and culture. Naturally, she excelled. I also excelled in my pursuit of idleness. It was a challenging time, and it was a wonderful part of our life. And I think it gave us a lot of tools to confront many challenges. It was a very challenging time of our lives. Since then, we have been living more comfortably in London, enjoying the old world charms of Europe. Tess again has obviously impressed everyone in her studies, but she also supported me in the initial challenge to find a job, and without her support and encouragement, I would not have pushed myself in life generally and ultimately be far more satisfied. And I can assure people that given the firmness of her advice, I never think she is just saying that because she's my partner. And also, aside from encouraging me personally and professionally, there is also the constant willingness to push me physically. I've gone from someone who regarded a light jog around the block as a satisfying piece of exercise to running a half marathon, then being signed up for a marathon. I said okay. I discovered besides from the obvious agony of the event itself, the training is also extremely grueling, especially when you're cajoled out of bed in the middle of winter at 5:45 in the morning twice before work. Both marathons I've run have sent me to a week off work, such as the physical intensity. And Tess never missed a training session, just ticked every box while I was rolling around, suffering from all kinds of infections. But regardless of that, I really do feel privileged to share my life with someone who is so warm, loving, funny, and she is truly one of those rare and remarkable individuals who is able to fulfill her potential through dedication and hard work. And she shows the same passion and intensity in her professional life as she does with her friends and her family, and I'm no exception. So for that, thank you very much, and I love you very dearly.
I don't know how I can follow that. I think the story of our meeting has been covered over and again. So I'll just say that we met in Berlin, but then we quickly developed a bond and visited each other in Manchester, where Zoe and Ben met him after a few weeks, and then we moved back to Melbourne around the same time and went on our first date was a bike ride along the river and went to Abbotsford Convent, which I loved. And then we we went, I met the Mortons about, I guess, March of that year, of 2010, at a Passover.
Yes.
And it was really intimidating. I was really nervous. I bought a bunch of flowers, and I think we had a glass of wine before dinner, but very soon, about 30 people arrived who were so incredibly loud. I was like, I was amazed, but they were also very warm, and it was almost a good thing because I could hide away in the background. But I was also called upon to read a part of the Haggadah, which I mispronounced a few words, and also was very nervous about. But now I've read Exodus, so I'm up to date. But yes, we had so many good times with the moms, and they also welcomed me. And I feel like we've been part of our family since that time. And around the same time, I told Mum and Dad that I met someone, and he was vegetarian, and he was Jewish, and to be prepared to meet him soon too, and I think they liked him very quickly as well. Okay, the next part, I was going to give a memory, and there's so many because we've been together for so long. And I was nearly annoyed at Daniel for bringing up Vietnam and talking about Vietnamese lessons and how we both left together, because that's my story. So we had twice weekly classes, and Daniel found these classes a lot more difficult than I did. Well, obviously, I think I worked and did the homework, and Daniel.
I was patronised.
Daniel was very good at some things, and our teacher really liked him. Her name was Kotam, and she quickly started to tease him, and used to teach us new adjectives using phrases like, "Daniel, you are lazy and stupid." So we got to know those words pretty quickly. She was really lovely, and we have a great photo of Daniel on our last Vietnamese class together, of Kotam holding a stapler and threatening to hit him with it, and both of them are smiling widely, and it was a great time. I think even though she teased him so much, she also really liked him, and he used to teach her children English. One of the phrases that we got to know very well around food, and Daniel always remembered the food words, and one of them was a phrase called hum an, which means gluttony. So Daniel used to bring this up at dinners with my colleagues and say, "I'm hum an." So that's why I'm eating so much. So order more. I'm enjoying it. But yes, it was very sad to see Kotam say goodbye to Kotam, and she held an amazing vegetarian feast for us, which was very memorable. I don't think it's hard to like Daniel, and I think in my time in London, he became part of my friendship groups very quickly. Everyone who I met through uni was asking, "Is Daniel coming?" So he was part of our gang very, very quickly. I'm not very good with words, so I wanted to do a reading, but also just to say thank you to Daniel, because he's always encouraged me to do everything. He encouraged me to apply for the Masters in London because he could see that my audiology career wasn't going to be a long-term thing. And he encouraged me to do my PhD, and he's been very supportive through our whole time together. And I love you very much. We're family. We have each other in London, and I really appreciate your support. Also, another anecdote from uni was that he used to look after me a lot during that time, and he used to cook for me every evening. And my colleagues at uni were very amazed by the meals he used to bring me while they were stuck with their Tesco's meal deals and Sainsbury's. So I was very lucky to have his support through that year. Okay, so I'm going to finish with a reading and then we can do some dancing. And this is the reading that our friend Ben did for us in the London ceremony, and it's by Nietzsche, who's Daniel's favourite philosopher. Sorry, can't read it. Here it is, okay. When one has been at great pains for half one's life to secure independence for oneself, as I have found it necessary to do, one has to accept the disadvantages of the situation as well. One cannot have one without the other. Among these disadvantages is the fact that no one can tell from appearances what other things I lack. If I were to marry, I require 1, someone to superintend my digestion. 2, someone who can laugh with me and who has cheerful spirits. 3, someone who is proud of my company and constrains others to treat me with becoming respect. 4, someone who could read aloud to me without making a book sound idiotic. It is precisely we solitary ones that require love and companions in whose presence we may be open and simple. And the eternal struggle of silence and dissimulation can cease. Yes, I am glad I can be myself openly and honestly with you, for you are such a good friend and companion. Though I may seem at times somewhat distant from you, through the grey mist of my own moods, I'm never far, my thoughts always circle around you.
That's it.